The escalating tensions between Israel and Iran are concerning not just for the immediate region but for global stability. Here are the top 10 updates. Israel's preparedness. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu affirmed Israel's readiness to respond to any direct attack by Iran, emphasizing the strength of Israel's defensive and offensive capabilities. India's concerns. India's Ministry of External Affairs expressed serious concern over the escalating hostilities, urging for de-escalation, restraint, and a return to diplomacy. They are closely monitoring the situation, particularly regarding the safety of Indian nationals in the region. U.S. troop movement. The United States is deploying additional troops to the Middle East to bolster deterrence efforts and enhance force protection for U.S. forces amidst fears of a wider conflict. UN General Assembly President's statement. Denis Francis called for all parties to exercise restraint to avoid further escalation, emphasizing the need for wise and prudent judgment in the current situation. Emergency UN Security Council meeting. The UN Security Council will convene an emergency meeting following Israel's request to designate the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organization in response to Iran's attack. UN Secretary-General's condemnation. Antonio Guterres condemned Iran's attack on Israel and urged an immediate cessation of hostilities, warning of the danger of a devastating region-wide escalation. Global condemnation. Countries around the world, including Argentina, Britain, Canada, Egypt, France, Germany, India, Italy, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, and the U.S., condemned Iran's actions against Israel. Air Defense Systems response. Israel's U.S.-backed air defense system, along with assistance from the U.S. and U.K. forces, intercepted Iranian-launched drones targeting Israel, maintaining a 90% interception rate. First direct military assault. Iran's attack on Israel marks the first direct military assault despite decades of enmity, triggering air raid sirens and causing disruptions in various regions. Airline response. Leading airlines have cancelled flights to Iran and adjusted routes to avoid Iranian airspace amid escalating tensions, affecting travel schedules and adding flight time for certain routes. The UK government's decision to increase the minimum income requirement for sponsoring relatives on a family visa has stirred significant reactions. Here's what you need to know. Increased threshold. The minimum annual salary required for sponsoring relatives for a family visa in the UK has risen from £18,600 to £29,000 starting from April 11, 2024. It's expected to increase further to £38,700 by early 2025. Reducing legal migration. This move is part of the UK government's efforts to reduce legal migration and ensure that newcomers do not become a burden on taxpayers. Public response. Home Secretary James cleverly emphasized the need to address mass migration, stating that action was necessary to protect British workers, their wages, and the taxpayer. The government aims to build an immigration system that garners public confidence. Expert opinion. Yash Dubal, director at AY&J Solicitors, London, UK, highlighted the significant impact of the salary threshold increase on those applying for family visas. He predicts a rush of applications to secure visas before the thresholds rise further, indicating the practical implications of the policy change. Criticism. Some critics argue that the UK government is putting a financial barrier on love by imposing these strict income requirements for family reunification. As the higher salary thresholds come into force, applicants may need to act quickly to secure visas under the current, lower rates. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz is embarking on a delicate mission to China, aiming to address trade tensions and push for fairer business practices. Here's a breakdown of the situation. Trade tensions. Scholz will convey a clear message to Chinese President Xi Jinping regarding European concerns over discriminatory business practices. He will emphasize that failure to address these issues promptly could lead to the escalation of tensions and potential EU tariffs on Chinese goods, particularly in sectors like electric vehicles. EU stance. The European Union has been toughening its stance on China's trade practices, seeking to rebalance the trade relationship. Despite China being Germany's largest trading partner, there's growing concern among EU members about unfair competition and the unequal treatment of foreign companies in China. Germany's position. Scholz will advocate for free and fair trade while aligning with the EU's stance on commerce. He will stress the importance of China addressing overcapacity and providing equal opportunities and subsidies to both domestic and foreign businesses. Business concerns. German companies operating in China have voiced concerns about facing unfair competition, which could impact their costs and profitability. There's evidence of significant government subsidies to Chinese companies, particularly in the electric vehicle sector. European unity. Scholz's discussions with Chinese leaders will be closely monitored by EU diplomats, as European unity on China is considered crucial. Any divergence in approach from major EU economies could undermine the bloc's leverage in negotiations with China. High-level delegation. Scholz is accompanied by senior executives from prominent German companies, highlighting the importance of economic ties between Germany and China. However, Volkswagen CEO will not be part of the delegation due to scheduling conflicts, amid ongoing scrutiny over the company's operations in Xinjiang. Geopolitical dynamics. Scholz also aims to discuss China's role in addressing the conflict in Ukraine and its relationship with Russia. However, expectations for a significant shift in China's stance on these issues remain low. Overall, Scholz's visit to China underscores the complexity of balancing economic interests with concerns over trade practices and geopolitical dynamics. The successful rescue of all 174 people stranded in the aftermath of a cable car accident in Turkey is a relief amidst tragedy. Here's what happened. Accident details. A cable car pod collided with a pole, resulting in a fatal accident near Antalya, Turkey, during the Eid al-Fitr holiday. The collision caused the pod to rupture, leading to one fatality and injuring 7 others, including children. Rescue operation. Interior Minister Ali Yerlikaya announced the successful completion of the rescue operation, which involved 607 search and rescue personnel and 10 helicopters. Teams from various emergency response agencies, including the Coast Guard and mountain rescue teams, worked tirelessly to ensure the safe evacuation of all individuals. Eyewitness accounts. Survivors shared harrowing accounts of spending hours suspended in the air in the cable car pod. Istanbul resident Hadisi Polat described a terrifying ordeal, including power outages and the pod flipping multiple times. Despite the trauma, all individuals were eventually rescued, albeit shaken by the experience. The incident serves as a reminder of the importance of swift and coordinated emergency response efforts in mitigating the impact of such accidents. The seizure of the cargo ship MSC Aries by Iran, with 17 Indian nationals on board, adds another layer of complexity to the escalating tensions between Iran and Israel. Here's what we know. Seizure details. Iranian forces, including paramilitary Revolutionary Guards, boarded the Portuguese-flagged MSC Aries near the Strait of Hormuz. The ship, linked to Israeli businessman Eyal Ofer, was directed towards Tehran's territorial waters. Indian nationals. Indian authorities are actively engaged in diplomatic channels to ensure the safety, welfare, and early release of the 17 Indian nationals on board the seized vessel. They are coordinating efforts with Iranian authorities, both in Tehran and Delhi. Perceived affiliation. The UK Joint Maritime Information Centre suggested that the ship was targeted due to its perceived Israeli affiliation. MSC Aries is associated with London-based Zodiac Maritime, part of the Zodiac Group led by Ofer. Strait of Hormuz significance. The seizure occurred near the Strait of Hormuz, a vital choke point for global energy shipments, through which about a fifth of the world's daily oil supply passes. Tehran's threats to block the strait earlier in the week underscore the strategic importance of the region amidst rising tensions with Israel. The situation remains fluid, with diplomatic efforts crucial to de-escalate tensions and ensure the safe release of the ship and its crew.
Stay informed and entertained with Newsnook. Like, share, and subscribe for more.